Title: From Overdraft to Overflow, How I Rebuilt with Just One Skill. My name's Adrian. I'm 42, living in Glasgow. Until that Tuesday morning, I thought my life was finally settling into something solid. Not glamorous, just stable. A full-time admin job, steady pay, a rented flat, and the kind of quiet you learn to appreciate in your 40s. Then came the text: we're downsizing. Your role is affected. No phone call, no meeting, just a few cold words that unraveled everything. I sat frozen on the edge of my bed, staring at the message like it might change if I blinked hard enough. It didn't. I checked my account 3.14 in checking 400 deep in overdraft. Rent was due in 9 days. I wanted to scream, but I just sat there. My fridge was nearly empty. My inbox was full of bills, and I had no savings, only stress. I paced the room, picked up my CV, then dropped it again. Who's hiring right now? Everyone was cutting back. Every job board looked like a digital battlefield, thousands applying for crumbs. It hit me like a punch. I had no backup plan, no fancy degree, no family money, no passive income. Just me, my laptop, and a pile of overdue letters. But then, out of nowhere, a small thought whispered in. You've always been good with words. I remembered helping friends write their bios, fixing typos in someone's blog, ghostwriting that wedding speech once. None of it ever paid much or at all, but it was something I knew how to do. I opened my laptop and typed into the search bar, how to make money writing online. That one sentence started everything. I didn't know what I was doing yet, but I knew this. If I had any chance of surviving the month, I had to try. That night, I stayed up late. The kind of quiet where even the fridge hum felt too loud. I couldn't sleep, not with rent looming and no income in sight. So I did the one thing that still gave me a tiny sense of control. I opened my laptop. No job offers, no miracles. Just tabs and tabs of how to earn money fast. Articles. Most of it was nonsense, says surveys for pennies, dodgy crypto links. But one phrase kept coming up: freelance writing. And then I remembered I used to write. Not for money, just little things. Bios for mates. A few blogs someone was too busy to finish. I even helped my niece polish her personal statement for uni. They always said I had a way with words. Maybe that was something. Maybe I had overlooked it all this time because it didn't feel professional enough. I typed freelance writing UK beginners into Google. That led me to Fiverr. I'd heard of it but never looked closely. I clicked around, browsed other profiles. People were offering blog posts, product descriptions, even ghostwriting love letters. Some were charging $50 a job. Others, just £5. I clicked join. The setup was simpler: name, email, profile pic. Then it asked, what service do you offer? I wrote, I'll write engaging blog posts and website content. It felt small, basic, but it was honest. Then came the bio. UK-based writer with a strong command of English and a knack for turning ideas into clear, readable content. I didn't oversell, didn't pretend to have awards or clients, just kept it real. For the portfolio section, I dug through old Google Docs own blog on motivation, a listicle I once wrote for fun, and a product review I'd helped a friend with. I polished them up and uploaded. Then I hit publish. I also posted in 2 writing forums sewn on Reddit, another in a UK freelancing group. New to this, based in Glasgow, offering writing services, happy to take small gigs, DM if interested. No response right away, but even posting felt like progress. I didn't have a fancy setup. No second monitor, no ergonomic chair, just my old ThinkPad, a dodgy plug socket, and a brain that had spent too many years sitting in meetings, waiting for the weekend. But that night, something shifted. It wasn't hope, exactly, more like quiet determination, a feeling that said, this might actually lead somewhere. I closed the tabs, powered down, and went to bed still broke, still anxious, but not quite helpless anymore. I'd just placed a small bet on myself, and in that moment it felt like the smartest move I'd made in years. 3 days passed. I kept checking my Fiverr dashboard like it was a slot machine. Refresh. Nothing. Refresh again. Still nothing. Then at 2:17 a.m. on a Thursday, I got a notification. New order, 500-word blog post, Canadian bakery payment, $25 USD. I stared at the screen like it was a prank. The message read, Hi Adrian, we saw your gig. We need a short blog on why fresh bread matters. We're a small bakery in Ontario. Can you help? I replied instantly. Absolutely, thank you for the opportunity. The adrenaline kicked in. I opened a blank document, fingers hovering above the keys. I didn't know anything about baking, but I knew how to research. I spent an hour reading about sourdough starters, crust texture, and fermentation. Then I started writing. I wanted it to feel warm, simple, inviting, like walking into a bakery on a cold morning. I imagined the smell of fresh bread and built the tone from there. By 10 a.m., I was done. But I didn't rush to hit send. I reread it. Then again, I checked grammar, flow, spelling, twice. I even read it out loud. Finally, I attached the file and sent it in. 10 hours later, I got a reply. This is exactly what we needed. Thank you. I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that. Not the money, not yet, just the words, the validation, the proof that I still had value, even after losing a real job. The payment cleared the next week. After fees, it was around 17. Not much, but I wasn't thinking about that. All I could think was, I did something, I made something, and someone paid me for it. That 17 meant more than any paycheck I'd ever had. It wasn't a bonus. It wasn't from a boss. It was earned by me, from scratch. And it gave me something I hadn't felt in weeks. Momentum. Something changed after that first job. It wasn't just the money, it was the mindset. For the first time since being laid off, I didn't feel like I was floating. I had purpose, direction. A tiny win had cracked something open. So I made a rule. Treat freelancing like a real job. Every morning I set my alarm for 7:30. No more scrolling in bed, no more sleeping till noon. I brewed coffee, sat at my kitchen table, and opened my laptop. No excuses. First stop, job boards. Upwork, Fiverr, People Per Hour, and a few copywriting groups on Facebook. I set a goal 5 pitches before lunch. Some days, I got 0 replies. Other days, 1 or 2 came through. Still, I showed up. By week 3, I had landed 4 new clients. A wellness blog needing weekly posts, a small business needing product descriptions, and even a guy starting a podcast who wanted help writing his about page. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real, and it was mine. I built a basic system, Google Sheets for tracking income and clients, Google Drive folders for each gig, and a cheap planner from Tesco to map out deadlines. I color-coded everything. Red meant urgent, yellow meant edits, green meant paid. It felt weirdly satisfying. The more I wrote, the better I got. I started offering 2 revisions instead of 1. I responded to messages within 2 hours. And people noticed. My ratings climbed, my inbox got busier, clients began recommending me to their friends. And then came a message I hadn't expected from that Canadian bakery. Hey Adrian, your last post did really well. Can we book you for 4 more? That 17 job became a 70 gig. By week 6, I'd earned £500 and 80. No train rides, no office, no uniform. Just me, my words, and the rhythm I created. Was it easy? No. Some nights I stayed up past midnight tweaking drafts. Some clients vanished after ordering. Some tried to underpay. But I was learning, adapting, and, for the first time in years, building something of my own. The highlight wasn't even the money. It was waking up and knowing I had something to do, something I made happen. My flat still echoed with uncertainty. The fridge still hummed too loud. But inside, things were getting quieter, calmer. I hadn't found a job, I'd found traction. And that was enough to keep going. 6 weeks turned into 2 months. I still wasn't making loads, but something inside me had shifted. I'd stopped thinking like someone waiting to get hired again. I started thinking like someone building something, slowly and steadily. Every Sunday evening, I sat down with my spreadsheet. I tracked what came in, what was pending, what to expect next week. For the first time in years, I saw a rhythm in my money even if the amounts were small. I created a second tab, savings. Just 10 here, £20 there. But watching that number grow, even slowly, reminded me I had more control than I thought. Then one afternoon, my nephew Ethan, he's 17, came by. He's into photography and had been trying to make some money editing photos. He asked, "Uncle A, how did you start freelancing?" I opened my laptop, showed him my Fiverr profile, explained how I wrote my first pitch, and landed my first gig. His eyes lit up like he'd just unlocked a level in a game. We built his first pitch together. A week later, he messaged me, "Someone replied?" That moment hit different. I wasn't just fixing my own situation, I was becoming useful to someone else. and that made me feel more secure than any payslip ever had. One night I caught myself saying aloud, I stopped waiting for rescue. I became useful. Not because I had all the answers, not because I was making thousands, but because I'd chosen to try and try again. I wasn't stuck anymore. I wasn't just someone who lost a job, I was someone growing a new life. And that, I realized, was real progress. 3 months after I got that downsizing text, I sat at my kitchen table, same chipped mug, same unreliable Wi-Fi. But something was different. My calendar was full. Small writing gigs, a couple of returning clients, and even one monthly retainer from a wellness brand. My bank balance? Not overflowing, but in the black. No overdraft. No panic. I looked at the screen, took a slow sip of tea, and said out loud, security isn't a job, it's your ability to offer value. I used to think security meant HR contracts, staff badges, and monthly payslips. That safety came from someone else deciding I was worth paying. But that illusion crumbled with one text message. Now, I understood something deeper. If you can solve problems, tell stories, fix things, teach something even in a small way, you'll always have a way forward. I wasn't back on top. I wasn't even fully stable, but I was moving, learning, contributing. I didn't feel stuck anymore. I felt resourceful. That quiet confidence knowing I could open a laptop and create income was more powerful than any job title I'd ever had. And here's what I learned in the process. You don't need everything figured out. You just need momentum. A small win, a single offer someone says yes to. That yes leads to another. And before long, you're not surviving the storm, you're learning to sail in it. Moral lesson, your value doesn't disappear in a crisis, just needs a new path to shine. CTA ending, follow for more real stories of rebuilding from zero. Subscribe for weekly lessons on turning skills into stability.